Okay, on this first problem, it's asking you to create a dot plot and then to describe the shape of the distribution or the pattern of the distribution using center, shape, spread, and if there's any unusual features. So, first thing what I wanted to point out is that I put the numbers in order from least to greatest. I did that right there, okay? Now, what I want you to look at is this right here. All right, let me blow this up a little bit. Now, if you would notice, all right, if you'll notice, uh, when you do the dot plot, make sure that your numbers here are in order and there's nice spacing in between. Okay, now I'm going to go over the how to describe it. Okay, and the basic description is, if you look at it, we went over this in class today, is that it's skewed to the right or unimodal, or you can actually say it's somewhat symmetrical. All right, now the center for this happened to be around 6.5, and there's actually no unusual features. These were possibilities, but after we looked at it a little bit more, we decided it wasn't. They were not outliers. And then, of course, the spread is from 3 to 11. Now, we talked about using the IQR, the interquartile range, and we'll talk about that here a little bit later. Now, in this particular problem, you're supposed to make a bar graph using the categorical data up here. All right, now because it's categorical data, you're not going to be describing the shape or spread or anything like that, but I do want to point out uh, that I do already have it done, and let's just look at how it was laid out. Notice you have the categories down here, okay, and then the percentages are evened out by 10%, all the way up to 70, all the way up to 80%. All right. And then what would really have been nice if we could have put the percent above each one. That's what I'd really look for. And of course, look for your title in this. And in this case, a couple of the questions were, how does, would it be appropriate to make a pie chart? The answer would be no, because these add up to more than 100%. And then also the last question is, suggest some possible reasons why the percent of doctoral degrees earned by women vary across the fields. Well, if you look at all these degrees, you know, that means women have a variety of likes and dislikes. So that's why it's such a varied response to the question. On this particular problem, you were given a list of undergraduate enrollment at a large university, and here was the breakdown. You were supposed to create a pie chart and then a bar graph, and then tell us whether or not you think that which is better to display data, the pie chart or the bar graph. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over. Actually, I'm going to pull up the answer key to that, and I'm not going to go over how to create the circle graph. You should already know how to do that. But I will say, if I knew the population of the enrollment, let's say if it was 4,500, if I wanted to know exactly how many freshmen this was, I would multiply that by 0.27, because you would just change that 27% to 0.27, and that would give you the total number of freshmen. So just wanted to point that out. Now also, what you need to look at is which one looks neater, which one looks nicer. The circle graph or pie graph would take a long time just to create. However, you can tell that it's very clean, very easy to read. This one, you can tell the difference between them, but this one gives us a little bit better layout and a little bit more of a pictorial view. I actually prefer this one, but both would be okay depending on what your ultimate goal was. On this one, you had to construct a stem and leaf plot. Well, if you notice, with all these numbers, the easiest thing to do is put them in order from least to greatest. And once you do that, you will be able to construct something like this. Now notice, you need a key for this. So I would write, this is the stem. So if this was 2.2, this would be the stem. The dot is actually the line that goes down, that breaks up the numbers, and then this would actually be the leaf. And if you notice with this data, let me go ahead, it's skewed to the right, because when I turn it this way, you can actually see the shape. So it's actually skewed to the right. Now, what we're doing is we're going to take the data from this stem and leaf plot right here, and we're going to apply it in these categories right here. So we want to know how much data is between 0 and 2. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 would go right there. Okay, so I'm going to erase all this, and I want to show you exactly what should have happened. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to bring in this category. So this is what it actually looks like. So if you look at this, and we counted this, the bin is from 0 to 2, so that's from 0 to 2. This one is from 2 to 4. So it's greater than or equal to 2, but less than 4. And this one is greater than or equal to 4, but less than 6. And so it goes in groups of 2. And the way we did that is that gave us 10 bins or 10 categories. That way when we build the chart or build the histogram, it's going to look something like this. And so we were able to have 10 individual bars in our histogram. And then of course when you talk about the, it's skewed to the right, so that was pretty obvious if you notice this. And the unusual features in this case happen to be all of these right here, because that's just really unusual that they all just had one. We could actually test and see if any of them were outliers, but I would assume that maybe one or two of them would be. And finally, on this last one, you had to create a line graph with the years and the fuel consumption. Now, if you notice, years are in the bottom, and the years go from 1965 to 1968. So they went in sequential order. All right, so they went in order, and then they just use fuel consumption in billions of gallons. So they've got a label here, and of course you have your title. And then you just match it up. In 1965, it was about 71.1, so that was about 71.1. All right, and then right here is where it kind of dips down. So it's increasing all this time, dips down, and then with the new cars and the speed limit change, and you had more powerful cars and sport utility vehicles, all of a sudden, boom, there was more people buying these things because it was more affordable.